Hello, everybody. Well, all of you who are prompt, we are about to start here. Thank you for coming. My name is Penny Wright. We're really happy to have a visit from Dave Jones, who's been here several times before to talk about various different tech issues. Dave is the head of computers and digital services at the West Hampton Free Library. He is also the head of teen services. He has been experimenting with and teaching technology to the residents of West Hampton for over 10 years, while also helping staff the library's so-called Inspiration Bar, which is a section of the library dedicated to providing one-on-one technical assistance to patrons and their electronic devices. He loves all things technology and found that by being a librarian, he can help people not only understand technology, but use it well to enrich their lives. Now, I won't be here at the end, but Dave will take over, and so I'd like you to join me in welcoming Dave Jones.
Thanks, everybody. How are you doing?
Good.
Before we begin, I just wanted to ask, what brought everybody here today with the technologies? What questions were you hoping to answer?
Maybe the air conditioning.
The air conditioning? Yeah.
Alarms for if your heat goes off or maybe you're going to leave.
Okay.
General trends.
Trends, yes. Oh, okay, like video surveillance?
Okay. Contractor just installed Lutron. Think about it.
Okay, yeah. All right, so we'll begin. Runway. So my name is Dave Jones. Like Penny said, I'm the head of Computers and Digital Services at the West Hampton Free Library. I've been there for, actually it's been going on 12 years now. When I first started there, I worked pretty much every department there, but a couple of years ago I was given the opportunity to develop a new department called the Computers and Digital Services, and there I'm able to help patrons with not just the library's electronic databases and doing electronic research, but we actually have a dedicated space where people can come in if they have questions about their cell phones, their laptop computers, specific device, a smartwatch maybe. They can actually come in and they'll be like, I just got this iPad. I don't know what I'm doing with it. Help me get on the internet. And we'll help them do that. And over time of doing that, I saw that there was a great need for that, and it's just not at our library, but at other libraries, so I kind of like took my skills on the road, so I started going. Then you offered to let me speak here a few times, and it's been very popular here, and I love coming here. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is what is a smart home. So a smart home is any home that is equipped with lighting, heating, and electronic devices that can be controlled remotely by a smartphone or by a computer. So what that means is, obviously, anything that you pretty much can do now with your home, like raise and lower your temperature, turn on and off your lights, or anything. Not only can you do it while you're in the home by getting up and pressing a switch or a button, but you can actually do it from an electronic device, or you don't even have to be home. You can do it from anywhere as long as you're connected to the internet. So why would we want to make our homes smart? Because there's many advantages. And one is that it gives everybody there various benefits, including convenience, savings of time, money, and energy. So the idea is if you have a smart home, you can actually, if you're sitting in front of your, sitting on the couch watching your favorite TV show, and somebody comes to visit, you can actually turn on the outside light if it's dark without you even have to go up and flip the switch, because maybe, who knows, it's like your favorite part of the show, and it's a mystery, and they're going to actually, Hercule Poirot is going to say who the murderer was, and you don't want to miss it. So it makes it so it gives you a lot of convenience. It also saves money and energy by allowing you to adjust your environment at different times, even when you're not home. So it allows you to, during the summer, if you're going off in the morning to work, you don't have to worry about keeping the air conditioner on all day. You can raise the temperature a little bit, but then before you come home, you can, remotely from work, you can actually lower the temperature, so once you get home, it's not roasting hot in the house. You can also automatically have the lights turn on and off, or say you pulled out of your driveway and you're going like to your mother's house or your mother-in-law's house, and an hour into the drive you're like, oh, I forgot to shut the garage door. You know, instead of having to have to call somebody to ask if they could do it, a friend, or turning around and going all the way back, you could actually, from your cell phone, you could literally shut the garage door. So it saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money. You can save energy costs by having, there's devices that will lower and raise the shades on your house. So in the afternoon, if you have an afternoon sun that comes into your living room or a large part of the house, you can have your shades trained so they'll automatically come down. So you can still have morning sun, but then as the day gets, goes on and it comes to the afternoon and the sun starts to come in, they'll automatically lower so the house doesn't get as warm. So that way you don't have to use as much electricity. The important thing to remember though is regardless of where you are, the thing that really makes a smart home work is that you can do it from anywhere. You don't have to be at home. You can do it from anywhere in the world. So one way you can think about it is if you can think about the time when once just a few years ago everybody had a flip phone, like one of those Motorola Razors and everything. All you could do is talk and text on it, and then over a span of a couple of years, we all got, the iPhone came out, and then everybody started getting iPhones, Android phones, and everything. This same transition is going right now with homes. So it's all about connectivity, being connected to the internet. What makes the current smartphones so much more powerful and useful than the old flip phones is by being connected to the internet. You're able to go online, you're able to browse the web, you're able to do online shopping, you're able to do online banking, you're able to see a calendar, make appointments, get notifications. We have to remember that our cell phones right now are actually just as powerful or more powerful than a lot of our computers. Wait around. Let me see.
It went back on.
Oh, yay.
Whoop, up.
Yeah. Stay on. And so what we're trying to do is, with all the extra power and everything that we got from our cell phones, we're now trying to transition that into our homes, because everything, all the convenience, all of the interconnectivity that we now have with our phones, if we can do it with our homes, it'll actually make our lives all the more easier. So with a smartphone, or with your smart home, you'll be able to adjust your air conditioning, which I had mentioned. You'll be able to turn on and off your lights, and you'll actually even be able to do things like preheat an oven. So when you get ready to come home, you can actually set your oven to be turned on, so you're ready to just take dinner out of the refrigerator and stick it into the oven without having to wait for the temperature to go up. You can even lend a key to a neighbor. Even without instead of physically having to go or have the neighbor come over and see the neighbor and give them a key, you can actually give them access to your home through either a smartphone or a key fob, or if you want to go with the old school, with a key. One of the things that you'll notice is a lot of these features that we're able to start to get in our homes right now, you already have access. You already have access. You already have access, or you already can use in businesses. I know at the West Hampton Free Library where I work, we just got a building that was open. It's only 6 years old. Instead of regular keys, in order to get in and out of the building when it's not open to the public, we have key fobs. They're just little devices that you put up to a little pad, and it'll automatically lock the door. We also have a reading garden that has a fence on it. The fence is locked, but it's also part of an emergency exit. The fence is locked, so because it's a side exit where if you go out, there's a chance that you could grab a bunch of books or DVDs or something, and you could actually, if the fence wasn't locked, you would be able to go out without checking out the materials. However, it's also an emergency exit, so it is designed that it's locked by magnets. When the fire alarm goes off, those magnets automatically disengage and that door becomes unlocked. It also happens with the doors to the staff room, and also there's a door to the stairway that goes upstairs to the children's department. All those doors can be configured to stay open with a magnet, but in case of a fire, you want to have those doors closed in order to curb the spread of the fire to make it so it doesn't spread as fast. So those doors are designed so when the fire alarm goes off, the magnet disengages and they automatically close. A lot of these features are actually what we're beginning to get into our homes now. Like I said before, you're able to schedule appliances, and you can actually have them perform certain functions throughout, at specific times of the day. I gave the example of the shades. You can even have, it's like a Mr. Coffee maker on steroids. You can have it not only with the old coffee machines, you can have it so it would schedule it so it would turn on and it would make your coffee at a certain time. But now you can have it so it automatically does it throughout the day. They have refrigerators now that actually will scan what's inside your home, and it'll let you know. You can give it a list of items that you always want to have in stock. It'll actually let you know if you're low on milk or if you need milk or eggs, and it'll send you a notification. And the other thing is, which is going to make this really great, is a lot of these appliances are now they have the ability to learn what your schedules are. There are lights that actually, by you turning them on and off at a specific time during the day, say in the morning at 6:30, because that's when you get up to go to work, it'll begin to learn that schedule, and then it will actually start to turn on and off automatically for you. It's a very similar feature to, if anybody here has an Android phone, there's a feature on the Google phones, it's called Google Now, and it actually learns how your approximate, the time that you leave to go to work every day. So it'll actually, and it also knows, it will learn automatically the time that you normally get to work. So it will estimate what your commute will be, and if there's a traffic or something, a delay on the roads, it'll actually alert you. They'll let you know that you should leave a little bit early. That's a feature that you don't even have to type anything to program, it automatically learns. That's what a lot of these homes are going to start doing now too. With the lights, with the shades that go up and down because of the amount of sunlight that's coming through. The heating and air conditioning, it'll know automatically when you're about ready to come home, so it'll actually raise the heat in the wintertime so the house isn't cold when you get home from work. However, there are also some disadvantages to smart homes, which I think was very important I wanted to discuss. And as of right now, the system isn't perfect. There can be, and there's been a lot of noted learning mishaps. There will be times when the lights will come on, say like daylight savings time. It might not register that, that we pushed back, the time an hour, or we raised it, we leaped ahead an hour, so you get to sleep in, and the lights will turn on when it's still dark outside and you're not ready to wake up, and it'll wake you up. And then you got to fight to be like, why are you on? Try to turn them off. And little things like that will happen. Some devices now are beginning to have speech recognition. The Amazon Echo, which was originally designed to be a personal assistant that was always on, always listening, and you could just ask it questions that it would answer, like you'd say, what is the weather like outside? How long is my commute? What's my daily, tell me the daily news. Now it's starting to get the abilities where you could actually use that to, instead of using a phone or something, or an interface that you have to type, you can use that device to say, Echo, turn on the living room lights. But the speech recognition isn't perfect yet. So what could happen is you say, turn on the living room lights, and then all of a sudden the kitchen lights turn on. Or the living room lights turn off if they were already on. So the system isn't perfect yet. And you still, they're still working on it. That's just something that's going to take a little bit of time. But it's getting better. And it's always improving. Another serious disadvantage is you can spend a lot of money to buy these services, and a lot of times there's, for the services to work, there's a company that actually is running the service from the cloud. One company that just recently happened is people spent a lot of money to retrofit their home with smart appliances from Revolve. It was very popular. It was a good service. They had devices that could do everything from adjust your thermostat to adjust your lights, and even do home security. But another company bought them up, Nest, and they decided that they were just, the purchase was really for the talent, the programmers that worked on the company Revolve. They didn't really want to keep the service, so they shut the service down. So you had all these people that had spent a lot of money, sometimes thousands of dollars, to put into their home to get all these smart devices and appliances, and then all of a sudden they just stopped working one day. Just everything stopped working because the company shut down their servers. They got a lot of heat from that. And in the end, they started offering some sort of a refund for people who had spent money on the system. But that wasn't their original intent. And the only reason why they did it was because of the bad publicity that they were getting from it. But these are things that we're going to have to be wary of. Because a lot of times, almost every time you do this, there's usually some sort of a subscription to a service that you have to pay for that keeps everything running and working. If that service goes away, a lot of the software that they use is proprietary. So it's not like you could take, it doesn't always work where you can take the existing equipment that you got in your home and go from one company to another to keep it to work. Sometimes it doesn't, and you could be out of a lot of money. And on top, yes?
Should I wait till the end for questions?
No, you can.
So
yeah.
why do they allow those mergers to happen when, well, number one, the contract, and not to have...
Yeah, I don't think that there was, at first when the merger happened, there was no thought that that was the intention originally. The thinking was at the time that Nest, that one company, was really acquiring the other company so they could use their technology, so they can incorporate their technology into theirs. But for whatever reason, maybe they found out it wasn't quite as compatible, maybe it was going to cost more money, or really, maybe they weren't really truthful and they just wanted to get the employees that work for that company to work for them. But for whatever reason, there really was no legal ramification to keep that from happening. So, other than the fact that a lot of people tried to threaten to sue and it made bad publicity, And even then, they didn't offer the ability to keep it running. And it wouldn't have been, and one of the big criticisms was people were saying how much money, it could cost a lot of money just to keep a server someplace running so everybody's devices would work. But they didn't want to do that.
Besides equipment technically aging out, which seems to be common in the computer industry.
Right.
If I had something with Windows 8 last year and it's already gone.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood that IEEE will standardize a lot of this equipment, like, well, your outlets are standardized, doesn't matter what makes the outlet, or even the USB ports are standardized?
Right. Well, the thinking and the hope is that it's going to move in that direction, that there will be a standardized format. The only thing is, there's a big battle right now as what that format will be. It's kind of like when VCRs first came out, you had JVC's, the VHS, but you had Sony's Beta. And they were trying to fight out, one didn't work with the other, and there was a big competition to see which one would run out or win out at the end. And it ended up being JVC's VHS, even though the Sony Beta had a better video quality on their tapes. So that's what's that's what's going on right now, that fight to see what will actually become like the standard.
VHS opened their architecture to everybody.
Right,
And
right,
Sony didn't.
right.
So the same thing, how does that apply to, because there's a lot of money, as you said, invest in this equipment, and whether the provider goes out, or whether the equipment just ages out because they brought out a new architecture or something like that, programming. What's the chances of organizations or the government getting involved in standardizing this stuff?
Well, we hope, the chances are high. It's just it's going to take some time. We're really early in the, in the whole home technology, market. This is kind of the time we're in right now is like when the first generation iPhone came out. At that time, you had the iPhone and you had BlackBerry, and there was no Android, and they didn't even work at all with each other. They didn't have similar apps or anything. But what started happening was people started making apps that you could work on both. And there is actually a movement right now to try to encourage these companies to open source their code. So if something like with Revolve happens again, then another company could just be like, oh, we'll just, we can run that code. You can just come over to us.
How many companies are doing things like this?
Oh, there's lots.
Lots.
Yeah, and there's more every day. It's doing my research. I read that in the next 5 years that they estimate this is going to become like a $70 billion industry, and right now it's only at like 25 or 15 billion, if that. So the growth is going to be huge. So there's going to be more and more companies coming every day. All right. So one of the dangers you got to worry about is, in order to have these smart homes, they have to be connected to the internet. So you're opening your home up to the risk of somebody hacking into it. I don't think that comes back on. It's done it a couple of times already.
Oh, no.
And then it'll fix it. It seems like it does this loop. So anyways, there's a risk. It's at one time, because currently right now, if you have a house with a key, the person has to go to your house. They have to try to either, pick it or break a window or something in order to get in, which they could actually still try to do with a smart home. But you have to physically be at the house. You have to make sure you do it at a time when you're not being seen, that the neighbors don't see it, the police don't come. The alarm, because they're there, there's a greater inherent risk into doing that. By putting all these appliances and devices onto the internet, anybody could try to break in remotely from anywhere in the world. So you gotta make sure you have really good security and everything. It just makes the chance of somebody trying to break in a little bit greater. On the plus side is that soon there'll be so many people that have smart homes and everything, the chances that they're actually going to try to break into your specific home is going to be it's like finding a needle in a haystack, things like that. So that's all right, but there is the chance that people could just stumble upon your home and then try to break in on it. So we have to make sure that we keep all the security and all the software updates and everything up to date. This is actually showing what you were actually talking about. Currently, there is a lack of industry standards. And because of that, it's difficult for consumers to tell which products are secure and which ones need to be updated, and even how to update it. You can think of it this way. Right now, how many people here have Wi-Fi in their homes? It's pretty much everybody. Your router that runs the Wi-Fi, that gets software updates periodically. How many people actually update their routers? It's like almost nobody. It's like very, very few. And because of that, there's a security risk, because a lot of times the software and the firmware updates on your routers are there to plug security holes that were found. But when these devices were sold originally and continue to be sold, it's kind of like you buy it, you set it, and you forget it. Nobody really tells you about the importance that there is in order to keep updating the software on that. Things that makes it even worse is the fact that you have to be somewhat careful in how you update that software, because if you do it wrong, you could brick your whole router and make it so it doesn't work anymore, and then you got to go out and buy a new one. These are some of the things that still need to be addressed, not only for the routers at your home, but it's going to be for everything that's connected to the internet.
Sorry, help us. How big is a router? What's it look like?
Actually, I have a picture that's going to be coming up. It's usually like a little box like this. It usually has one or two antennas sticking out.
Is that provided by
Cablevision is offering it now. They have one that kind of looks like a tube. You don't really see the antennas. The one nice thing about those is the reason why Cablevision there's a couple of reasons why Cablevision started providing those, but they have access to it, and they actually will keep it up to date for you. So that's one of the advantages of using it. Along with the fact that they're giving it to you for free to use. So yeah, they can't beat that. All right, so with all these scary things that I just said, how do you protect your home from the computer? Or how do you protect your home, from the security of all these potential hackers and everything? And the thing is that you should try to think of all your devices and everything as if it is a computer. When you have your computer, you need to always make sure that the software is up to date, the antivirus and malware protection is up to date, that you use complicated passwords for everything that you register and log into. And, yes?
You speak of a dedicated Wi-Fi channel. When we get a Wi-Fi circuit, we get one channel, one signal. To get a dedicated Wi-Fi channel, we have to buy an additional service?
No, this is actually a little trick. I'm glad you mentioned it, because that leads me right in. It's a good segue. Most routers nowadays that you purchase, they come with, when you plug it in, they usually have where they recommend the one channel that you use, that you create a password for, but they'll also have another one that's called a guest channel that you're supposed to allow, if somebody comes over, a friend, maybe somebody that you don't really know that well, maybe it's a friend of a friend, and they want to go on your Wi-Fi, instead of you giving them your password and making your, your network, your home network, insecure, you can give them you can let them log into the guest. And the guest, you have the option of either having no password or creating a password for it. The idea is if you give them that guest account, then they will not have access to any of the other devices that you have on your account. So what a lot of people are suggesting now is once you start purchasing items, appliances and devices that you want to connect to the internet, do something like give your guest that guest account a unique password, and then have only those devices connect to the guest account. Because by doing that, even if somebody is able to hack into your network, they're on a separate network than all your other devices. So it's an added layer of protection for you.
Should we be giving them a cable company the password?
The cable company?
I don't know, some guy came over and he kept asking me for the password and I refused to give it to him.
Well, was he trying to fix something, or? It sounds a little scary, I mean, if there was a Cablevision employee and he was coming and he was trying to fix something that you were having trouble with, my suggestion probably would have been, yes, give it to him, but then after you left, change it. I mean, it's a hassle because then you got to change it on all your devices. But
When I got mine, he gave me a very B, C, D, and 3.
Right. Right. A lot of devices now are actually coming with, they'll have like the passwords on like a sticker or something that's in the manual or on the bottom of the device that you can actually take off then, that you can put in.
And how do you get a new one?
See, this is the problem. It's kind of tricky because what you actually need to do is you need to plug your computer directly into your modem with a cable. And then you can go onto a web page, you type in an address, and it'll give you an admin file where then you can change your passwords. That's also how you update the software on there. I mean, this is one of the things that they need to do is they need to try to make it so it's much easier.
Yes.
Because, like I can do it and I do it, periodically. But I know I'm one of the minority. The majority of people, and even I only started doing it like the last year and a half or something. I've gone years where I never would change any of the settings on my routers. But it's something that we're going to have to start paying attention to. And hopefully what they'll do is they'll start to make it so it's easier for us to do. Actually, I think Optimum may be making it a little bit easier because I know they have an app that you can download onto your phone, and I think some of those changes you can actually do from that app on your phone right now. So with their router, so other companies are going to have to start doing things like that also. Ooh, gotta hurry. All right, so how does these smart technologies work? You need to have a centralized connection point. So the way they work is there's usually some sort of a device that acts as a hub. All of the signals will go to that, and that then sends out the instructions for all your appliances. So it's a place to send and receive all of your smart home information. That's like how one of the routers will look like. The Optimum one won't look anything like that, but if you buy one from like Target, Best Buy, a lot of times they'll look like that. The reason that I have this here is how does the smart home work is some devices and appliances that you can buy will connect to your router and they'll use that as the central hub. Some devices will use either your cell phone or a cloud service where they'll connect to. You just give, it could be like a light bulb, you give it access, it may have like a Wi-Fi on it, you give it access to your router so you can get to the internet, and then it goes to either your cell phone app or to a place, someplace in the cloud, and that's where it receives the instructions to do what you want it to do. Or what a lot of these companies that do now is they actually have a physical device that you keep in your home that acts as a hub. So you will communicate with that directly, and that will actually manipulate the devices. The nice thing about this is the fact that, say, the internet goes down for whatever reason, you know, somebody hit a telephone pole and knocked out the cable and the internet for you. As long as you're home and you're still in your network, your smart devices will still work because of this router. I mean, because you'll be able to connect to it directly from your local home network and still give it the instructions. You wouldn't be able to do it if you're away from home because the internet is down. But as long as you're in your home, it still gives you that availability.
What are those words?
Those words are actually, there are different companies that are providing, they're companies in standards that you can use to communicate with these routers. Z-Wave and Zigbee, those are two companies that actually have what they're called unique protocols that communicate between the router and the devices. I know Zigbee, they're actually really pushing hard to try to make their form a standard. You can also use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. One of the things Zigbee is saying is that Wi-Fi, everybody has access to Wi-Fi, so just because more people can access it, it may be a little less secure. That's what they're trying to push. Bluetooth inherently has a distance factor to it, so if you get too far away from the router itself, Bluetooth won't work. You only have like 10, 15 feet distance for Bluetooth.
So who are the smart people? Because with all this stuff, and you wanted to how to do it and get it, but you can't anybody to know where you get that.
Right. Well,
who ask that.
I mean, there are companies that you can try to get information from. Somebody had said Lutron before. They're like a big company that sells Lutron. But right now there isn't a lot. It's Home Depot is trying to do things, so they kind of want people to come to their stores. They seek help with it. Best Buy is Best Buy. You go into a Best Buy now, and they have a large section that's on home technology and everything. They're making a real big push for it. So there's like local businesses that are starting. Plus, there's going to be these specialists. There are companies that are being formed that all they do is work with home technology, and they'll help you work with the other companies, and they'll help you explain how it works and everything, and give recommendations.
You mentioned Z-Wave and Zigbee on your screen there. This is something I buy a subscription to, or?
Not necessarily. What they do is there are certain devices that you purchase where that use their technology.
So first you buy the device.
Right.
For instance, from Nest or?
You buy the device. It could be from a company, that you saw on like on Main Street someplace. It could be from Best Buy, a local store. So you buy, so you go there and you're able to buy these devices. There's two ways you can make your home smart, which I'll explain. I was going to explain more later, but I'll do it a little bit right now. Is you can either go all in, hire somebody that's just going to come in and retrofit your whole house and make it so it's all of a sudden it's smart, and then they'll build it, and then they'll teach you how it works. Or you can actually begin to do small pieces at a time. The disadvantage of doing it piece by piece is the different appliances or devices that you purchase, you need to make sure that they're able to communicate with each other. Because if they don't, then you're going to lose all the convenience you're trying to get.
So you could buy one device which works with Z-Wave, another device that only works with Zigbee. Is
Right,
that what the problem is?
right. Because like I had said before, these are kind of like the standards that they're competing to see who's going to be the one that rules them all, pretty much. But I was just saying, many of the physical hubs, they only work with certain devices, causing confusion because you need to make sure that the devices you purchase, you need to make sure that they work with that hub.
But everything works with Bluetooth.
Right, but at the same time, like I said, there's a location hindrance with there because you need to be really close. Bluetooth won't necessarily work if you're outside of your home, and a lot of the convenience and savings with this is due to that you're able to do it remotely. So where do we begin? All right. Although I said that there's inherent risks about doing this, my personal feeling right now is just to purchase a couple of devices and get a feel for it. The main reason why I'm saying this is because you don't want to go and spend a lot of money, set up a whole system, and then find out it's not really for you. You don't like it's too complicated. You don't want to, go with the hassles of trying to keep it up to date. It's finicky. It's like the lights aren't always turning on when you want them to.
Or will change next year.
Exactly. So my feeling is, and what I usually recommend is start off small, buy a couple of things, get used to them, and then add a few things to it. And and after a little while, if you think you're ready, then just go all in and get something for a whole system for your home. Oddly enough, many people here may already have some smart devices in their homes. Smart TVs are actually considered a smart device in home technology because they connect to the internet. You're able to access things online that you can't with a regular television. You're able, you could have it so you watch Netflix on there. You can watch Hulu. Some TVs you can access YouTube, so watch YouTube videos and stuff. They're connected to the internet, so it gives you the convenience of being able to watch some things online that you would normally have to go into another room maybe to see on a computer, or you have to watch, but not on your 50-inch flat screen TV that's hanging on the wall, which has the best picture possible. Amazon Echo, which I had mentioned before, it originally started out, and also along with it, the yet to be released but soon be competitor, the Google Home. These devices are considered digital assistants. You plug it in, it's always listening. You can ask it, you say a trigger word, so it will really listen to what you're saying, and then it'll try to answer your questions. So, Amazon Echo, I got one for Father's Day, and like I said before, you're able to ask it you can ask it to see what the weather is, how long your commute will be to work. You can actually have it look up a recipe for you if you're trying to cook something. You can have it play music. It will actually tell you the NPR's morning news and everything. When it first was released, that's what they intended it for, and people thought it was amazing. People loved it. But they also made the software open-ended enough, so a lot of these new devices that are coming out are able to connect with the Echo. So you're able to use your Echo as the trigger to do what you want with the devices. And then you can add some lighting. These are Philips Hue lights. There are other companies that make some. The cool thing about these lights is that they connect to your home wirelessly. So from a smartphone, from a computer, or even from your Amazon Echo, you can actually turn on the lights, you can turn them off. And the really neat thing about these is they'll display any color that you want. So you could adjust the mood to fit you know, whatever, you can adjust the lighting to fit whatever your mood is on it.
Are they dimmable?
They're dimmable.
Are they LED?
Yes, they're LED. They're very energy efficient, and you can actually set them up so that they'll turn on and off, and they'll learn. They can learn why you're doing it. No, they plug in. So they actually. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I never thought of that. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to buy some of them. I never thought how they work. And, they plug into your socket, so they probably just use electricity from the lamp.
So you leave the lamp on and then control the...
Right. And then if you want to go a little bit further, you can also get these are called smart switches. These make it really easy. You don't even have to change the bulbs. You take this device, you plug it into your existing outlet, and then you plug whatever you want, the device you want to control, like a lamp, into this. And once you do that, you're able to take any lamp with any bulb, and you could set it so it'll turn on and off remotely. You can have it set up on timers. You can give it a schedule. You can make it so they dim. But it works with things other. It'll work with almost everything. And then the nice thing about it is there's actually a term that not a lot of people say, but is really relevant these days. It's called electronic vampires. Because of all of our devices now and everything that we plug into our outlets, they're constantly using up electricity and everything. You go into a room after with all the lights off after when it's dark, and just think of all the little LED lights you see all over the place because something's plugged in. Even like one of those 6-prong extension cords with the switches. They're always lit up, so there's a little bit of electricity that's constantly, if that's turned on, there's a little bit of electricity that's used to light up that light. So you could actually use these in order to turn off devices when you're not using them. And the way they work is they actually block the power from going.
So if something is on, that one on top would show that it's on?
Right. This is actually it's a device. It's called a Wemo. It's sold by Belkin. Belkin also makes routers. But there's everything that I'm showing you, there's a lot of other companies that do the same thing.
And a lot of them made in China.
Yeah, right. These are known to work really well with the Amazon Echo. And if you go to Amazon, they have a whole page, for home technology, and they spend a lot of, time trying to convince people to buy these devices. But they've gotten good reviews. And it's a good first step because it's very flexible. You can have it do many things. It's not like, a light bulb that you can only have in one spot.
I have an electric stove. The light will go on, but if the oven reaches a certain temperature, there's no light. So you think the stove is off.
Oh. Yeah.
You go to bed and you realize.
You left the stove on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that.
You can actually have it so, like, after 10 o'clock at night, it'll turn it off, so you make sure that it's off.
That's cheaper than replacing a stove.
Oh, yeah.
If there's something like this Belkin, can you access it directly through the internet, or do you have to use some point of provider?
This one it will be directly through the internet.
So you directly address it from your smartphone.
Right.
Or your computer.
Right. Or like I said, the Amazon Echo. There's an API, so you could actually be like, Echo, turn on the living room lamp, and it'll turn it on. As long as it heard you right.
Google is Android,
Right.
and essentially, they're coming out with a product soon. It's not out yet, you said.
Right, the Google Home.
Home. And then you've got the Amazon Echo. If you want to stay Android, would you wait for the Google to come out?
See, like I said, I got the Echo for Father's Day, and I was really torn because it was like 2 weeks before Father's Day is when they announced the Echo, they announced the Home, and I was like, but by that time I really didn't want to wait. The Home is supposed to be coming out really, really soon, in like the next month and a half. So, I mean, if you want, one of the things, they haven't given specific prices yet, but it sounds like that it's going to be less expensive than the Echo. I mean, if you haven't gotten anything yet and you want to stay Android, you probably should wait. I mean, I'm actually thinking about buying one anyways, just when it comes out, just so I can compare and see.
Which just goes with Apple?
I'm sorry?
Oh, you said Google is Android.
Android. Apple's actually releasing their own thing called HomeKit, which will only work with Apple products, and they like to stay in a closed, environment. If you want to go a little bit larger, you can go with heating and cooling. Here, there's a couple of companies, Nest and Honeywell. Those are really well known. There's other companies. The one below actually just received great reviews for 2016. It's called Ecobee, I should say Ecobee. And they connect to your internet. It works. It will replace your regular thermostat, but it allows you to adjust it, even when you're not home. Plus, they actually have a learning mechanism with it. So once they see that during the winter time, 6:30 in the morning, you're raising the heat, they'll start to actually begin to raise it even a little bit before, so by the time you wake up at 6:30, the house is already nice and warm. It's the winter time. So they all have learning capabilities, and makes it really convenient. And then you can also get their smoke detectors. One is called Birdie, which has got really good reviews, but Nest also. Nest has a whole slew of devices that they're releasing. So you can, if you wanted to stay with like one company, you could go with Nest. They both do pretty much the same thing. The nice thing about it is, not only will they let you know if there's smoke available, but they also measure the air quality in your house. They also measure the carbon monoxide. They also measure the amount of pollen that's in the air. They'll do a lot more than just smoke, and they also, instead of waking you up with an ear-splitting screech, you can actually set it up so it talks to you and everything. Might not be great if you're sleeping, but at least you won't wake up,
Is this wired electrically, or is it batteries?
I believe these are wired, but I'm not sure. I think it's wired with a battery backup. I'm not totally positive on that, because I know that there's some disadvantages with a wired smoke detector, but at the same time, these are meant to be connected to the internet. You really, if you don't have electricity in the house at the time, then it's not going to connect to the internet anyways. A lot of times, things like this will actually have a service that you may subscribe to that's like remote. It's almost like like Sloman Shield or one of the security. So if they see that there's a loss of signal to the home, then they may try to contact you to let you know. But that's usually a yearly subscription you have to pay for. And then you can also get smart locks. The idea with smart locks, there's a couple that are really popular. One's called August, and there's other one that's Kwikset, that's on the right. What they allow you to do is what I had said earlier, like, it gives you the ability to, especially the Kwikset, if you have a key and you want to use the key, you can use the key. You can have a key fob that you can program. And the nice thing about that is you can give your neighbor a key fob, but then program it so it only works when you want it to. So they could always keep it, but then if you get stuck and say, like, you go out into the city to see a show or something, and then you miss your train, and you decide you're going to want to spend the night, but you have pets that you need to be fed or whatever, you could actually call your neighbor, say, could you go into my house and feed the dog? And then you can, from your home, or from your phone, you can actually activate their fob, so it'll work. And then afterwards, you get deactivated. So it gives you the added security that they can only enter your home when you want them to. And on top of that, you can actually have your cell phone, your smartphone set up, so you could use your smartphone as a fob. So this is a great example of how items can, be much more convenient. I know, go longer than I thought. Anybody have any questions?
What is the absolute simplest way to know when you're not in your house if your heat is falling below a certain degree? What kind of system? If you're not living there for a bunch of months, I mean, you're somewhere else.
Probably something like the Nest or Honeywell, because you can actually program those. So if your home gets to a certain temperature, it will actually notify you that it has.
So what is it you buy? What is it?
Well,
A
it's
box?
it's a box, and then you probably need to have. Unfortunately, I put the thermostats farther down on the list because those are a little bit more complicated to set up. You probably have to have somebody come in to install it for you. And
I didn't know what it was. I don't believe it was a box.
yeah.
If you have an alarm company like ADT, they actually sell a device that registers low temperature, and it'll set off an alarm with them, and then they'll close.
What you're going to see a lot of, like I kind of said with Home Depot and everything, is because this is going to become such like the next big thing, that you have a lot of companies that are already well-known companies like ADP, like you said, that are actually going to move in and try to do as much as they can with the home technology also. So.
And you get a deduction on your insurance.
Yeah, it's kind of like when when you have the anti-theft device on, you'll get a deduction. Thank you. Thanks for coming.